Hi, Rima. So, I mean, no real comment on the market per se because not very much is happening. But I think we have Ujjivan, which is in focus. Actually, let's go straight across to the management. Mrs. Sudha Suresh is Chief Financial Officer of Ujjivan Financial Services, and she's joining us right now. Ma'am, thank you very much for joining us. Good to have you here. First of all, ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
good afternoon.
Right. Good afternoon. Could you tell us, have you taken a provision this quarter? If yes, how much?
Yes.
And why? Because I mean, RBI had provided a 90-day window, right? From the 8th of November. That 90 days is not over yet. So could you just talk about that to begin with?
Yes, I think as you're aware, RBI has indicated that we could look at the assets which are overdue in the demonetization period of November and December. Ideally, we could treat this as standard assets. However, Ujjivan has always had a very conservative provisioning policy, and that has also been recognized as one of the best practices. And Ujjivan looked at the affected portfolio and reviewed it both in November, December and January. And we have taken a conscious call in terms of putting up an extra provision for these assets and not looking at them, taking the benefit of RBI's guidelines, which said that we could indicate this as standard assets specifically for the overdues for November and December.
How much have you provided? Also, if you can tell us, I mean, you know, your collections are weekly or monthly, and if you can clarify whether there is a possibility that this provision can be written back and how quickly.
Great. So we would like to indicate that our collections are on a monthly basis, and during this demonetization period, a lot of support was given to our customers who obviously faced a lot of hardships in terms of getting the new currency. So on one hand, we ensured that we gave some time to the customers, and the repayments have started flowing in, and it has been a very encouraging trend that we have seen across post the demonetization in November. We have seen encouraging trends both in December and January. Particularly in January, we are seeing some encouraging trends in terms of the repayment and collection efficiency. And in terms of, yes, would you look at, a write back in terms of your provisions, assuming that they are on an excess mode? We would definitely take stock of it in the next 3 to 6 months and see how the collection efficiency is there in terms of the overdues. And in case we have a robust provisioning, we could always look at write back.
So this provision is entirely on your gross NPA or the NPA formation. There has been no provision with respect to the the state interference that was happening in UP and Maharashtra?
No, what we have taken a call is on the affected portfolio, and it is across, because Ujjivan is pan-India presence with all the 24 states. What we have looked at is wherever there is an affected portfolio, we have seen how the trends are and what is the behavior, and then we have taken a conscious call on the affected portfolio in terms of the overdues.
Good afternoon, ma'am, and thanks for joining in. Could you give us a breakup on a month-by-month basis on disbursements as well as collection efficiencies for October, November, December and January, just to get a sense of what recovery is looking like post-demonetization?
Great. So that's a good question. On an average, we were, close to disbursing around 600 crores per month. What we saw the October also, we maintained the same run rate. But in terms of November, post the demonetization, we had to look at, how to spread this across the information to our customers and monitor in terms of collecting only in the new currency. And at this juncture, we thought it prudent not to acquire new customers. So to that extent, we had some amount of disbursements which came down. But compared to, in fact, most of the MFI turned to SFB who were not able to disburse, Ujjivan was able to disburse almost 553 crores in the month of November. So whatever collections came to us, and which was obviously in the legal tender, we ensured that our valued customers with a good track record, with a repayment record, who had requested for sanctions of new loans, those were duly sanctioned and they were able to avail. So in the month of November, we had about 553 crores of disbursement. In the month of December, we had about 415 crores of disbursement.
Okay.
So we took a call in terms of new customer acquisition where we did not acquire or do any new disbursements. But however, to our existing customers with a good track record of repayment, we continued our disbursements.
So two questions, ma'am. Largely our customer base are used to cash, cash transaction. So how have you seen the movement from being cash oriented to cashless? And also on disbursement, you mentioned that your per month run rate on an average basis was 600 crore. So by when do you expect this 600 crore to come back?
So we are, monitoring the situation across all the states, and wherever there are encouraging trends and where the repayment rates have come back to normal, we have started on the new customer acquisition also. However, it will take some time to see the position back to normalcy across, our entire portfolio, and the new customer acquisition will follow that pattern.
Ma'am, you gave us the numbers for November 553, December 415, and January. What is the number so far?
So I think we have completed around 200 crores plus, but
So
typically the second half of January we need to see
So
how much it is.
So it should be a little over 400 crores, similar to December.
Definitely yes, but we don't know the exact numbers because it depends on the disbursements which happen in the next 10 days.
Just one quick question. So what is the total book now, ma'am? Could you for Ujjivan at the end of December?
Yeah. So we will take you through the So we'll take you through the book. In terms of a gross loan portfolio, we are at about 6,588 crores. We have a securitized portfolio which is roughly about 542 crores. So our net OSP stands at about 6,046 crores.
Okay. Ma'am, if you could just quickly tell us about the asset quality and the trends. We've seen an increase in your gross NPAs as well as net NPAs. How is Q4 going to shape up for you?
So what we can say as of now is we have seen an encouraging trend in terms of repayment. If you look at the position post demonetization, where the customers some of them were not able to pay during November, they have come and paid up in December. And customers who are not able to pay in December are paying their December installments in January. So what we are looking at from that angle is the customers willing to repay, albeit with a time lag. And I think that is fair considering that this has been an extraordinary situation that we are getting the repayments, albeit with a time lag. But we will have to see in terms of what finally crystallizes as an NPA over a period of next 4 to 6 months. Though the results are encouraging now, we will wait and watch the trend, and we hope that slowly things could turn back to normalcy, and then probably we could take a final trend show on what could be the real NPA.
Ma'am, just to go on that point, in terms of the provisions that you've made, right, in the October to December period, can you tell us what has been the collection, in that portfolio, what has been the collection rate so far in January? That should give us some indication.
Yeah, so definitely. Yeah, so as you are aware, in November, we had collected, almost 90%. So there was roughly about 10% overdue as of November end. But the collection of the November overdues over a period of December as well as January, we are closer to about 95 to 96% currently. So that is why we are saying that there is an encouraging trend in terms of the repayment. Similarly, for December repayments, which were due, we are seeing that it is somewhere around 91 to 92% currently.
Ma'am, we disbursed about 2,184 crores in Q2, and in Q3 it came down by 521 crores. So what would be your disbursement and loan growth guidance for FY17 as a whole and FY18?
Okay, I think that's a little tall order because we are in extraordinary circumstances. We will have to see our disbursements will be calibrated because we will have to see how we shape up on the new customer acquisition as well as spruce up our disbursements in this quarter. And I think based on this trend which comes, we will be able to forecast what could be our financial year 17-18 disbursements. I think it's a little early to respond to that.
Ma'am, there has been a fair bit of talk, and I think my colleague put that question to you earlier about political risk, etc. We are right in the cusp of elections in two large states, important states. Could you give us some sense in terms of, have you seen that impact sort of coming through? Any feedback from the ground? Yes.
Yeah, I think we are all aware of some of the impact on political influence in some of the states. And I think MFIN did a yeoman's job there because they communicated throughout with the states at the ministry levels, at the, RBI level and across all other stakeholders, and ensured that the true message went across to the customers, which indicated that we are here to support you, and it is important for you to understand that there can be a time lag maybe because of practical difficulties, but it is in no way a repayment holiday. So I think a lot of messaging and good communication across all our branches to customers, and I'm speaking not only by Ujjivan but also through other MFIs, through the microfinance associations across the states, and MFIN. I think they have done a yeoman's job in giving the true picture and reaching it out to the customers.
All right, ma'am, we've completely run out of time. Not questions, but we'll have to save them for another day. Thank you so much for joining in. That's the word from Ujjivan. Yes, we've seen disbursements come down from 600 crore pre-demonetization to now about 400 crore, but the trends in collection are quite encouraging, and from 90% collection efficiency in November, it's now gone up to about 95%, and if that holds, they could reverse the provision that they've made.
I think that will be the absolute key. I mean, how quickly can this provision be written back? Written back. And she said that they'll take a call on that in the next 3 to 6 months. So 95% of the overdues in December are already have been collected. And she gave, I missed that number, but it's about 90% of overdues in December have been collected in January. Yeah. So, I mean, look at the stocks. I mean, they've barely corrected, right? I mean, if anything, the stock was down 2.5% going into the result. The result is a 10 crore miss on profits. And I mean, actually the stock is higher. So I think what is also happening here is that this was a bit of an overhang, a black box in terms of the quarter that is past now, and I think you'll see the same on the largest microfinance, which is Bharat Financial, where again I don't think the stock is correcting or anything, but I'm being told to kind of wrap up, so let's do that very quickly. We are back very quickly on the other side, more on markets. Ashwini of course is going to be with us with his trading ideas in 2. See you on the other side.